Howdy everybody, Dave here with Dave's Old Iron, welcoming you back to the first show of 2026. Yes indeed, I hope you all have had a wonderful New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So let's get right with this show here, shall we? Got a call from the machine shop telling me that the cylinder head had a big crack in it and it wasn't usable. Well, I was thinking it was maybe like some of those other little engines I've seen, in particular, just right off the top of my head, the Alice Chalmers BC, CA, and RC, the little engine. They were usually cracked between the second and third cylinder, but by the time you had the O-rings on the cylinder sleeves, put those in, copper-coated the head gasket, put the head on it, it was sealed up, and you'd run hundreds of hours with those engines like that, and it wouldn't hurt them a bit. So I was kind of hoping it was a situation, but I was hedging my bets. So I got in my little pickup, headed over to Kimberly just to go by the old homestead to see what was left of the farmhouse, and then headed over to my buddy Dale's place to pick up a cylinder head. You never know what I'm going to run into over there. Well, folks, there's what's left of the farm. Absolutely nothing except a few trees and some fence. Yeah, the pond is still there. Nelson Creek is still there. Yeah, the fence is still up for the most part, but the house, the barn, the shop, everything's gone. Yeah, had a lot of good times there at the place. Really enjoyed the plow days and the old-time tractors and stuff showing up. That was lots of fun always. But, yep, not to be anymore. It's kind of a shame, really, but yeah, I didn't not expect that to happen. Yeah, the house was pretty much a sad state of affairs. About the only structure on the place that was really any good was the garage. So anyway, we carry on. Who knows? There may be another Nelson Creek farm in my world yet again. We'll just have to wait and see. In the meantime, let's get today's show rolling. Yeah. What I'm doing today is I'm heading over to my buddy Dale's place, the guy with the junkyard. I'm going to pick up a different cylinder head, another used one, to take into the machine shop to see if it's any good. Hopefully it is. And I'm going to take a good look at my original one for the Super M. So they're telling me it broke bad enough that the hardened seat for the exhaust fell out of it when they were trying to remove a valve guide. That's how broke the head is. So we're going to take a look at that, and if it isn't repairable or whatever, we'll just give it to the ironmongers. Hey, what do you all call a fake noodle? It's an impasta. Yeah, like I said, you never know what you're going to find on my channel. Yeah, look at that. Big old 4-cylinder sitting crosswise in there like an old case motor. Yeah, I guess Dale's owned this thing for a while. And he just now got it home from Indiana. Yeah, quite the unusual piece in this area. Now, my friend Dale says that all-work tractor made by the Electric Wheel Company is probably a Model 14/28, meaning 14 horsepower on the drawbar and 28 on the belt pulley, because it doesn't have PTO. So they measured it on the belt pulley. So it'd be an all-work 1824 according to him, and it was made between 1917 and 1924. However, I kind of think it is a Model 2040, a Model C, which was one of the last ones they made. And I'll show you a picture of the Model C is why I think it's that, because a 1428 is about half the size and a lot smaller and doesn't have all the tank and everything sitting up on top of the radiator, I don't think. Anyway, here's a picture of it. Now, when I asked Dale what it was exactly, he wasn't sure. He just knew that all he wanted to buy was an all-work tractor, and he bought one. He's not even sure what model it is yet. So, yeah, if I ever find out, I'll be sure to let you know. Here's one for you on a New Year's Eve. Why was the clock bored? Any ideas? Too much time on its hands. Welcome back, everybody. It's a day or two later from when I started this video. It is now the 2nd of January 2026. Let's see if we can get this off. There we go. Maybe today, barring anything unusual happening, I can get to finishing the wiring on the Farmall H. Yeah. Let's see if we can't get this thing off here. There we go. Finally. Those hooks that hook in here to the gas tank and up front here at the radiator are an absolute pain because they keep rehooking themselves. Yeah. If you remember where I left off, I've got a 40 amp one wire alternator hooked up here to the front of the motor now instead of one of those Delco 10SIs. I don't care who you are with this fancy mounting bracket, the 10SI does not fit. It'll either be hitting the valve cover or the hood on the early H's. The later H's you might have a little more clearance, but on this 1940 model there isn't any. So I changed out, went to this 40 amp alternator, which is more than enough because this thing's got a magneto ignition. It's not going to be drawing any power unless I'm running the lights or starting the thing. So yeah. Wonder why I didn't use that wire. It's already there. Let's see where it goes. I didn't use it because the 10 amp wire is black. That's why. But you know what? And it didn't go up on top of the motor either. That's why. Yeah, it was too short. Okay, so we're going to continue on running some new 10 gauge wire along here, back through here to the amp gauge. Yeah. So yeah, that wire is now officially hooked up here. Runs along the top through the little wire clips, down the side here to this one here, and then it goes straight back through that one, and it'll go on and up into the amp gauge bracket there. Just for today though, to make sure that everything's working and give it a test run and whatnot, we'll leave the old wires hooked up just for that magneto kill switch. I haven't got my new 2 gauge battery cables in the lengths I think I need them here now, and we're ready to go. Honestly, couldn't believe nobody in the area had 2 gauge cable for the battery cables on one of these things. I ended up having to order the stuff out of Amazon of all places. Yeah, so I got that long before Christmas, so now it's just a matter of putting it in and getting it running. I do have an old kerosene or distillate manifold on this tractor. I may end up changing that out to just a regular gas manifold here before too long. We'll wait and see on that one though, because it's running so good I hate to mess with it. I purchased enough wire to get back from the box where the amp meter is. The wire that I just installed from the amp meter runs up there and loops and turns around and comes back down here. And why they want the other end of the wire coming out of the amp gauge to attach to the battery post here on the starter is beyond me, when they could have saved themselves a couple of feet of wire and attached it right there to that bolt on the left hand side there, because it hooks to the same thing in my thinking. Now those wiring diagrams may have been made for the later H's that have the starter button mounted up right underneath the headlight bar on the left side of the vertical steering wheel bracket that comes up, the pipe that comes up that everything's attached to, the headlights and the throttle and all that. It could be that that was something they came up with because of where that one was mounted, up high, instead of being down low like it is here on the early H's. And if this thing has any gas in it, with any luck, with the sun out today, we may actually even fire this thing up and take it down for a drive down to the gas station, put some fuel in it. Yeah, go down there and harass the girls at the station. So next up is to cut the end of that off and install one of these loop deals so I can attach it there, and then we'll be back up and working on the dash and wiring it in. Now, because I haven't got my shop set up yet, so I can take this nut to a wire wheel to clean up the corrosion on it to make a really good electrical connection, I'm just using the file end on my Leatherman here, if I can get it to work. Oh, sorry I bumped you. Trying to hold it flat and do it at the same time. Now the reason why I'm being very careful, this side of my Leatherman does not have any file cuts on it, where this side does, so I'm being real gentle with it, trying to clean that up by using the side that doesn't have the serrations on it to kind of clean up that nut there on that post, and to clean up the cable, because we're going to reuse this cable for right at the minute. So yeah, we'll just file the corrosion off of that, get a nice good clean surface for electrical contact. Alrighty, now that that electrical connection is made to that stud right there, yeah, we got plenty of room. We can eventually tape that up with a some electrical tape, or get one of them little plastic split loom conduit things and put on here. Clean it up, make it look a little nicer. Before I do that though, I need to get a new wire, kill switch wire from the magneto up to the top of the motor there, hook it on with that clamp and that hot wire coming off the alternator, and run it back down and around here, and then up to the dash is with the rest of them. Okay, and we're going to have these. It's going to be plenty long enough, but I think we're going to cut it right about there. It's pretty close to being in half. We'll clean up the ends of these wires, and then we'll attach the terminals and hook it up to the amp gauge, and we'll fire the old girl up, see what she does. I don't know if you can see it, but that amp meter right there, coming with the kit, it is just a standard 60 amp meter for 12 volt systems. This little alternator that I put on the tractor, like I said a minute ago, is only a 40 amp alternator. That's its max output. And since there isn't anything other than the starter drawing electrical power on this thing for most days, other than some lights, maybe occasionally, I don't know that it'll ever charge more than 20 amps at a startup. So we'll see. If that amp gauge never gets over 20 amps, I'm going to put this 20 amp gauge back in the dash there. It has the IHC logo on it. I don't know if you can see it down there, but yeah, we'll put it back in there. Okay, the battery is hooked up, but I don't really care for how close, if I can get this in here, the cables are to the fuel line and the shutoff valve for the fuel, yeah, which is right there. I mean, it's just right behind the box here, which is on the left. Yeah, a little tight. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to leave this bottom plate that's support for the H battery box, and then replace this top piece of tin up here that bolts to the housing back here with one that's a little bit longer. It comes out about here. Pull the battery out a ways from the fuel tank. Maybe something kind of like that. Yeah, that way it's a little easier to get to the terminals to hook them up and unhook them, and gives you some more room to run your wiring back there. Now, part of the problem with the wiring on this tractor is I forgot to get a large enough end on the negative cable to fit over those, what are they, 5/8 inch bolts or whatever they are that hook the starter to the bell housing. So I couldn't attach it where I wanted to. So I ended up attaching the negative battery cable to one of those bolts that holds that plate onto the transmission housing, or the pump housing for the ground. Yeah, so anyway, we're going to turn on some gas and fire this thing up and see if it works. Here's one for the holiday season. What did the doctor tell the gingerbread man after he broke his leg? Any ideas? Try icing it. Oh, it's bad. Okay. Let's see. That's on. Pull on the choke. We're out of gear. A little bit of throttle, and we'll hit the starter button here. Oh boy. In case you're wondering why it sounds funny, I don't have a muffler on it. Okay, let's see what this thing does here. Nothing. I bet one of those wires has come loose on the back side of that. So let me shut it off, we'll check it. So I don't know if that amp gauge is any good or not, or if I need to wire up the rest of the lights and whatever to it to make it do its thing. So yeah, that'll be another day we'll make that all happen. But as for now, at least we got the H running again, and it is wired, and I'll get online and do some tracing and see what the deal is with that wiring, to see if something else does need to be hooked up, or if I've got a jumper the alternator to make it start putting up juice or something or whatever. Well, I can honestly say I'm a little bit more than just a tad bit disappointed in that thing not charging. Like I said, it could be the amp gauge, and that 60 amp gauge is no good, so I may put the old one back in it, the old International logoed one, see if that doesn't help it any, or change it, and eventually I will have time to finish wiring it up. The sun's getting low in the sky tonight, so maybe I can wire up the light switch in that at a future date. Maybe that's part of the problem, is we're not making a complete circuit somewhere. So yeah, because I know the lights have got to come off of the one side, supply the power off the one side of that amp gauge, so maybe that's it. Anyway, let's see, I got a birthday present or a Christmas present coming for Stinky. We'll do a video on that. I won't tell you what it is, even though you're probably dying to know. It is a handy little device for it that I wish I'd had a long time ago. And today FedEx dropped off a new to me steering arm that goes between the upright arm on the steering column down to the front bolster. There's another arm there that sticks up in the air. They used to call them a chicken roost, a bar. That tilts back and forth with the steering left and right, and that's what gets the left and right down to the front end, if you follow what I'm getting at. Anyway, I got a new one of those today, and we'll be over to my buddy Dale's place to put that on so that power steering unit can come off of that little CA Alice that I'm picking up, so that it'll be steerable and we can get it home. Anyway, that'll wrap up today's video for now, and as always, y'all take care, and we'll catch up with you later. And thank you for subscribing to Dave's Old Iron, where we'll continue to play with old iron. Yeah. All right, y'all have a good one now. Bye-bye.